Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian news, chats, and reviews. Joining you as always is myself, Ewen Ramsey, and my fellow co-host, Allan McGregor. Allan, how are you doing, my man? You all good?
I'm very well, mate. Very well. It's been a long day, but yeah, all is good now. All is good.
Fabulous, and it's been a long 2 weeks as well without football and all, but finally we had something to talk about during the weekend. Obviously, of course, we're referring to the return of the Cinch Premiership with all teams back in action during the weekend, including a very disappointing stalemate draw between Ross County and Heart of Midlothian, which ended in a 1-1 draw in Dingwall. So obviously we will cover a bit about the game and just some of the talking points as well, and we're going to go over a few talking points as well that's happened throughout the international break as well, with regarding injuries, some contract talk, essentially the same old thing we talk about every single week, essentially, Alan. But hey ho, we're going to talk about it again. And at the end of the podcast as well, we'll obviously look to the last game of the Premiership before the league split, which is of course the potentially last Edinburgh Derby of the season, obviously against Hibs, being held at Tynecastle. So we'll look forward to that as well, and we will have the predictions as well, which is always miles off it, but we will give it a good go as well. And that is essentially going to be your podcast for this evening. But as always, before we get into it, if you're not subscribed to the Since I Was Young podcast through our YouTube channel, please think about subscribing and smash that like button as always, guys. If you want to get in contact with us through our socials as well, you're more than welcome to. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at SIWY Pod. Alternatively, as well, if you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, you certainly can. Since I was young, 1874 at gmail.com. And finally, in the description, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, please feel free to do so. So, Alan, as I just said there's been a lot of things that's been happening throughout the international break without the regular football, one of which being probably the most talking point out of the things that we're planning to talk about today. Peter Harring's haircut. What the fuck's happening there? That was quite a shock.
Yeah, it was. He's brought the wee hairband back though, so I'm fully backing it. I'm fully backing it. He's got peak 2019 vibes of Peter Harring, back to his best and back with his best haircut.
Love it, mate. I mean, well, best haircut. I mean, that is quite debatable, but hey, that's why we have the podcast, mate. But more onto actual serious things. Since we're on the topic of the beautiful Austrian, we may as well start with him. Of course, we heard just last week there that our beloved midfielder, Benny Benaglio, has obviously suffered a horrible injury, which has now got him out of the game for 9 months, which is a heavy loss for us, especially coming to the end of the season and for next season as well. Obviously, more specifically, it's his cruciate ligament that's been unfortunately damaged and has forced him on to the sidelines for a year. We did talk a bit about this, Alan, and we kind of boil it down to it was kind of a blessing but a curse at the same time, basically putting it down to, well, we're not going to have him for quite a long period of time, but at the same time it means that hardly any teams will be in to actually buy him. So well, exactly, mate. So yeah, I mean, where does this leave the squad and for the future, as well for Harring as well, because of course literally throughout the last month or two there's been contracts of Billy or want to get a contract extension. So do you think this injury to Benny could actually be Harring's gain if he wants to stay at Hearts?
I think it has to be. I
Yeah.
think it's funny, couple of weeks ago, or even just before the international break, we'd spoken about it, and Robbie said that they still hadn't made their mind up about Harring.
Yeah.
And then obviously the injury happens, and I'm not surprised that they've finally put something on the table for Harring and said, look, we want you to stay, because it means we don't have to go out and buy another midfielder in the summer. Because I think we will now. I think we will. Before Benny's injury, I think midfield is one of those positions that we didn't really need to buy anyone.
Not particularly, no.
But I think Benny being injured, we might now go into the market and bring in another midfielder for that central area. It's gutting for Benny. You know, he's had such an amazing season.
He really has.
He's been one of the standout players in the league at what he does, not just at Hearts. So it's a big loss in that sense. But just touching on what you said about it, like not attracting teams to sign him now, that's a bonus for us. But the reason that Benny is at Hearts is because he had a dodgy injury record, you know, and at Everton, and he'd never really kicked on from there. So that's the risk that you take when you sign players like that they could potentially get another injury that rules them out.
Well, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I'm gutted for him. I'm sure that the team are gutted for him, but like you say, his loss is Peter Harring's gain, and Harring has been in the squad the last few games and done incredibly well. So I think he deserves a new contract off those performances alone. But if the injury to Benny is what's triggered it, then it makes sense. It makes sense. I think, and I messaged you this as well, as much as I like a Harring Halliday midfield, which is kind of what we're faced with at the moment, I would much rather have a Benny Devlin midfield, because that's levels above. But obviously, I mean, we've got depth. We've got some depth in that position, but we're one injury away from, you know, Toby Sibic playing in midfield, which he could do. But, you know, it's especially when you've got 2 Edinburgh derbies coming up, and it looks as if Devlin's not going to play in the league game. We'll touch on that later on, obviously, but it's. But going back to what you said, I think Peter Harring deserves a new contract, and I am delighted that we've offered him one. I hope that he signs it. I hope that he stays, because I've been saying it for weeks that I want him to stay next season.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those. As I say, the main point is Benny's loss is Harring's gain, and it gives Harring more game time between now and the end of the season, because if Harring stays fit, he'll play every week.
Yeah, and you're absolutely spot on that, man. I mean, again, just to get, because I never got like a definitive answer from you. Just if we did get Harring's contract finally over the line, would you say that for all the time that we've, like, you know, supported Arts, and in terms of the transfer window of who we brought in, who we've kept, who we've let go, etc., do you think that this could be one of the best transfer / contract, like, sort of, or was a period we've had in like a long time? Because in terms of what Robbie and Savage has done, like especially in terms of the recruitment, in terms of being very not hard negotiators, but like, you know, if for example, if there's a player that we've tried to get, but they've like let's just say for like example, they've had like, you know, ridiculous wage demands. We've not been the Hearts of old back in the day where, like, you know, we'll say, yeah, like, you know, 10 the grand, fucking absolutely, sign a 5-year contract, not a problem. You know, we've been a lot more smarter, again, down to Savage and his team in terms of the recruitment that we've done. So again, just to ask the question, do you think that this has been one of the best seasons we've had in terms of the recruitment?
I think so. I think it comes down to the fact, like you say, that Savage and his team have had a plan of what they wanted to do. Robbie's obviously been a massive part of that as well, of course. The only thing, obviously, January, like, we'd been crying out for a striker for a long time. Sims came in the end. You know, I wasn't sure we were going to get a striker in January, and I think if we hadn't got Sims when we got him, I would have said January wasn't a great window.
Yeah, I agree.
I think when you take the summer and you take January, it's been positive. Plus, then obviously, like you say, you add in the contracts that we've given to players. The only one that caused some debate was Andy Halliday, but since he signed that contract, he's been fantastic. Like you can't deny that. So yeah, I would say it's certainly been one of our best windows. But I think there's more, as I say, there's more of a plan, and they know what they're doing, and they're being sensible with the money and the budgets that we have. It's knowing what we can afford and what we can do and who we can get for that, and being realistic with it as well.
Well, yeah, like exactly, and the plan in place as well. I mean, it was maybe like a quite a high expectation to. I mean, I'd say like this might be being a bit nitpicky, but I think the only thing that I would have liked to have seen or would like to see next year, maybe moving forward, is probably to get more of the academy players like sort of more involved, because again, I think what Savage also has in mind as well is that we want to bring young players through, great players through, and be that sort of selling sort of a club mentality like as well, because because we've made some incredible signings, absolutely brilliant signings, and I'll be very surprised if half of the squad stays next year. But again, I want us to have that mentality that we can bring young players through, develop them, either try and push themselves into the first team squad, or then to sell them on. Because I think especially for like a long time we've not been really that club. I will say for our neighbours, I do actually think that Hibs do actually have a good homegrown talent actually coming through. I think for the majority, I think they've always had quite a good sort of academy system, and I think we've kind of lost our way on that for. Well, I mean, again, since probably Hickey.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's the thing that Hibs do, and this is the one and only time I'll ever give them credit for anything, is that they tie young players down to long contracts, so that if a club wants them, they have to pay money, and decent money for them. And that's something that I've always kind of criticised Hearts for a little bit. We tend to sort of go year by year and go, oh, well, your contract's up in a year. We'll see where you are then. And then we'll maybe offer you a new one, or you might walk away for nothing. There was news during the week as well that Connor Smith is the latest young player who's going to be offered a contract for next season. But again, his contract was due to run out at the end of the season, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's being offered an extra year. And Robbie said he's done well while he's been out on loan, which he has. He's done very well out on loan. Made his Scotland under-21 debut during the international break as well. And, I'm going to use my favourite saying. I've always said there's a player in there for Connor Smith.
Of course there is.
And I hope that, but this is the thing. And Robbie said that, we're going to take a look at him during pre-season and decide what we want to do with him then. And Robbie kind of said, ideally, I want him in the first team squad, but I don't want him in the first team squad just to be a filler. I want to actually use him and give him time, which is great. And that's what you want. That's what you want. We saw against Ross County, we saw young Kirk coming off the bench for the last 5-10 minutes. I think that's probably, certainly from memory, one of the few academy players that we've actually seen this season. And he got 5 minutes at the end of the game. That's Andy Kirk's son. Interesting statistic about that I saw earlier on, which is Craig Gordon played in Andy Kirk's last game, and he played in Andy Kirk's son's first game.
Oh, I felt the grey hairs coming out of me, Alan. Literally,
you and me both. It's mad, isn't it? It's crazy. Like I said this the other day. I'm going off on a tangent, but I said this the other day. When I see like a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old footballer, I think, fucking hell, like. I'm near enough old enough to be your dad. Like that's scary. That's
it's Jamie.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's
midlife crisis. I know it is, but
oh mate, tell me about it. But no, going back to what we're talking about, like the academy and stuff, that is a massive part of what Savage wants to do, and they've brought in people to help to do that. So hopefully, but then it's one of those things, you're not going to see that results of that like overnight. It's not going to happen. It's going to take time for us to bring through the young players. But on that as well, obviously Stephen Naismith is the under-18s manager at the moment, and he's got them flying. I think they're in a cup final.
I know.
Doing really well. And I mean, that's great. That's what you want. You want young players that are winning things to come through as well. And playing well, because then they bring that confidence into the first team, which is kind of what you want.
Well, exactly. And like as well, like, I mean, it's almost like a given, like, at around this time of the season, like, unless you're kind of playing for something, which at this point, like, being 14 points clear with 18 left to play, like, this is a time where you can play more of the younger squad, which throughout the last 6 games I would kind of like to see, because again, like, like we will talk about it like as well, but if we beat Hibs and the results go our way, we've pretty much got third place tied down, and I think it will be mathematically possible that we can do it next week, provided we win and then the result go our way. So again, I would like to see more of the youngsters, like, actually playing, like, throughout the last 6 games, but again, only time will tell. And just of you mentioning Mackenzie Kirk, we can turn our heads to the match in Dingwall. What a pish game, Alan, but we'll talk about it nonetheless. So I'll just start things off with the starting lineup as such. So, of course, we had our man, Craig Gordon, who defies logic and gravity in so many fucking ways, but again, we'll talk a bit about that later on. So yeah, of course, we had Craig Gordon, Kingsley, Harring, McInerney, Boyce, Halliday, Cochrane, Mackay, Halkett, Sims, and Civic. So you could argue it was a bit of a depleted squad, a wee bit, like, just in terms of the players we have out and injured, like etc. Alan. I'll be very honest, the first half, I mean, I guess the first talking point we can talk about is the penalty, possibly the softest penalty I've seen all season, literally. I don't even, like, again, I love the guy, and I will never complain about the fact that we got ourselves a penalty, but would you say it was really soft that Barry Mackay just, like, fell over, or would you even argue that it was possibly like a dive, or just a wee bit over simulated, maybe a wee bit?
I think maybe a wee bit. I'm not going to say that he took a
no,
dive.
No,
it wasn't exaggerated.
Exactly, I know, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know,
like, he fell over like a sack of shite. He did.
It was very soft, but again, we've seen soft penalties this season given,
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, we've not even mentioned the fact that Barry Mackay is one of the ones that we've offered a contract to as well. That's gone unnoticed as well.
I've noticed as well how we didn't.
I hope he signs it.
Dude,
I hope he signs it.
Literally. I mean, I may have to cut this out, but I probably won't. If he gets a contract signed, mate, I will be wanking for days. And I'm not even, I gotta cut that out, literally, for days, mate.
He's just a phenomenal player, but not very good at penalties.
Harsh, Alan, fucking.
Well, did you see it? Did you see it? And I said after he'd taken it that he obviously missed it. I was actually quite surprised that he got given it. I know Boyce is our designated penalty taker, and I know he's missed the last couple. Boyce, he's not had a great record recently, but I was surprised because Boyce was on the pitch, so I thought he might have pulled rank and taken it off him. But
I'm very surprised. The more like you're segue there. I hope he signs a contract. What are you brilliant at, Barry? Not penalties. Aye. That's
do you know what? He can stay for as long as he wants, but he's never taken another penalty in his life. Like, if there's evidence of that one, it was not a good penalty.
No. And by all standards, yeah, I totally agree, and I do agree on top as well. Like, it was a strange choice. I mean, I don't know if he just, because from what I saw, like, he did grab the ball with the intention of taking it. Like, it wasn't like a sense of that he was giving it to Boyce or that. Like, he just took it. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I think it was a case of he won it, so he wanted to take it, and
that's fair enough.
That is fair enough. But if I was Liam Boyce after that, I'd be going, right, you're not taking anymore. That's
absolutely
not
no.
It was just a really poor penalty, but
yeah, it wasn't great.
It was one of those. I can't remember if it was Laurie or Robert in the commentary that said it was a bit maybe kind of justice done because it was a very soft penalty, and you always find that. Like, I always say that when I'm watching a game, and it's a soft penalty given. If they miss it, I sort of go,
yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
We were lucky to get it. So it would have been, don't get me wrong, it would have been fantastic if he'd scored it because it was a great start. But
100%.
We didn't really deserve the penalty. So him missing it was kind of like, okay, we're still at 0-0. So it's annoying, but at the same time, justice was done, I suppose.
I know, exactly, Alan. I mean, while we're on the subject, as well, like you're talking about, dodgy decisions as well. Of course, I mean, you and me, not really done sort of the investigating of it, but I came across things in the originally. Now, one of the things was I do recall that I sent you a picture of it, and I saw a job advertised that I did almost apply for, but fucking every decision, even if it was a penalty outside the box, I'd give it. But anyway, so it was a job advertisement for a VAR official, which I believe the location was in Glasgow, and then you sent me a picture of a trial screen for VAR as well. And my memory serves right, it was for an under 18s a game or something like that. But
yeah.
So yeah, VAR looks to be coming here.
Well, just to jump in, actually, I saw something earlier. I was working earlier on today, but Barry Anderson put something up on Twitter. Obviously, latest news. It was from 4 hours ago,
right?
And he said, "I'll just read the tweet out, and then we can see where we go from there." But he says, "Scottish clubs to vote on introducing VAR on the 19th of April. If passed, plan would be to start VAR in the Premiership after World Cup break ends in December. Vote needs 75% of Premiership clubs, 75% of Championship clubs, plus 75% from League 1 and 2 combined to be in favour."
I mean, it's got to happen, surely. Would clubs be? I mean, I know that I might sound a bit of a hypocrite from when we did our VAR special, where I wasn't kind of in favour, but throughout this season, especially from some of the horrendous decisions that have been made by some refs, they need all the help they can get. So I've obviously kind of turned my head in favor of yes. And but surely they got to get it in, surely, yeah.
I think so, but I think the biggest thing, reading that there, they need 75% of the teams from the Premiership, 75% from the Championship, and 75% from League 1 and 2. I think, and this might just be me being ignorant because not really knowing too much about the lower leagues of Scottish football, but I have a very strong feeling that they'll struggle to get 75% from League 1 and 2 because I think those clubs might look at it from a cost point of view.
Yeah, true.
Can we afford it more than anything else? I think the Premier League will get 75% because I think a lot of clubs have had decisions go against them this season that VAR would have at least intervened. It might not have given the decision, but it would have been there to use to help, Championship, probably the same. But I think cost will be a big issue for teams. And if it can be proven that it's, reasonably priced and not going to bankrupt clubs, and if there's maybe going to be grants, maybe that's not extreme, but if there's going to be grants given from the SFA or whatever to clubs to help them pay for it, that would be ideal. But yeah, it seems as if they're obviously stepping forward with the plan. They had, like you said, they had the trial. It was at the Oriam, actually. It was for the 14s. It's Hearts against Hamilton and Kevin Clancy, who's I say professional referee. He's a referee. Yeah, he was in charge. So it was quite interesting seeing Kevin Clancy, obviously a Premier League referee in an under 14s game, but it was a trial, and funnily enough, VAR was not needed during the entire game.
There you go. Fucking hell, brilliant.
A great use of it, and it's
just ignore everything I just said there, guys.
It was available, but not needed at the time.
Fair enough. Much like my life, mate. So I am going past that. So yeah. I mean, sorry, mate. My mind just went absolutely blank. Yes, the game.
Ross County. Back to the game. We went on a tangent there. Back to the game.
Did go. Aye. So obviously, not long after we missed the penalty, we then do what Hearts do in typical fashion, and we conceded a goal, and more surprisingly, conceded a goal from a corner. So we've managed to kind of get a hold of us ourselves, going from a corners, like in set pieces, but yeah, again, we still can't fucking defend them. Do you think it was an easy goal to concede, Alan?
I think we gave it to them.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think we switched off cross ball, and it's poor marking. It's just somebody switches off. I can't recall who it was because I've not watched the highlights since last night or the night before, which is great preparation as ever. But
of course,
yeah, I get annoyed when I see us concede sloppy goals like that because we should be better than that. But to be fair to Ross County, they probably deserved to score at that time because they actually, when we missed the penalty, we kind of stopped a little bit. Like up until the penalty, I'd say we were the better team. But then after that, it was almost like we were a wee bit shocked that we missed it.
Yeah, like they just threw everybody at us, like essentially.
Yeah. But that, the thing is, like, and I was saying this to somebody earlier on today, like it didn't surprise me because Ross County knew that 3 points, like they're in that battle from 11th to 4th.
Which is still ridiculous. Yeah.
And the thing is, every team from 11th to 4th can still finish in the top 6, which is
exactly
mad.
I know,
but
mental.
Yeah, and obviously Ross County are going for 3 points. They're at home. They need the 3 points to get into that top 6 group. So I was really impressed with them, actually. I thought they played really well. But yeah, the goal was sloppy. But it came, as I say, at a time when County probably did deserve to be ahead.
That's true, Alan. But again, not long after that as well, the beautiful winger himself redeemed himself with his second goal in 2 games. If he signs that contract, he is away in the summer. He's away in the summer, mate.
No, he's staying for the European adventure, mate. Barry's all in. He's all in.
Barry's all in.
Mate.
And apart from the penalties and all, but yeah. Well, again,
put that in the contract. He doesn't
put
get
that in the contract. Aye, done. Signed it. But yeah, no. But I thought Barry did quite well. In terms of the lead up to the goal to get like inside the far left to try and set somebody up like inside the box as well, and then the first shot he had was like rebounded, like received, and then he had another pop, and then thankfully like it went in. But yeah, I mean, did you thought like at halftime that 1-1 was kind of a fair reflection from both teams?
I'd say so, but I still felt like County were actually the better team in the first half. But we scored a goal, we took advantage of an opportunity, and Barry did what he did last week. Same again, he got into a position where he could score a goal. 2 goals in 2 games is great. Hopefully he bags another one on the weekend, but
imagine
time will tell. But yeah, like it was a scrappy first half. Both teams were, as I say, going at it, trying to get something. I just thought, and you said it sort of briefly when we were talking about the lineups and stuff, that we missed, and this is a player that I love, Nathaniel Atkinson. Toby Sibbick was played at right back, and Toby Sibbick is not a right back. As much as I like him, he's not a right back. He did a job and he filled in relatively well, but he's not a right back. And Nathaniel Atkinson is probably not that much of a right back either, to be fair. But what Nathaniel Atkinson does that we missed against County was that direct running and
that drive, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have that. We didn't have that because we didn't have him at right back. Barry Mackay wasn't getting many opportunities to run with the ball at his feet. It was all kind of like passing and trying to move it around. And Sims didn't have a great game across the 90, to be honest. I didn't think he was great. Boyce was all right. But yeah, I think at halftime, 1-1 was fair. But County could probably, if one team deserved to be ahead, it was probably County.
Yeah, I do agree on that. But again, Alan, like, I mean, in hindsight, like, do you think, because again, we've only taken 2 points from County this season away. Again, one of those hoodoo places that we don't tend to get a result. But again, in hindsight, do you think that a draw I mean, like you're just kind of thinking now, like we should be beating them, but on the circumstances of how the game panned out and how we played, do you think that a point in retrospective was actually like one a fair but an okay result, like in terms of where we're at the stage?
I think so. I think you have to look at it and say, you know, like I said earlier, Ross County were going for 3 points because they really need the 3 points. Do we need the 3 points? You know, let's be honest.
Yes and no, but yeah, it's like,
you know, obviously it would have wrapped up third place, and that would have been brilliant. But
yeah, like it's done practically. Yeah,
we're already far enough ahead, so it's kind of like, you know, obviously I don't want Ross County to get 3 points, but if they did, you know, it's not the end of the world for us. Obviously, it's a bit of a mood killer, but you move on, and a draw across the full game was fair. But we owe getting 1 point to one man and one man only. And I had a conversation on Twitter about this man, and that man is the greatest goalkeeper in the country by a distance, Craig Gordon. Now, we spoke about this a few weeks ago, and we talked about Craig Gordon, and I was critical of people who said that Craig Gordon is the reason we're third in the table. I'm still critical of that view, but Craig Gordon is the reason that we got a point in Dingwall, and that cannot be
be overlooked at all. No. As you said that, Alan, like, you know, obviously, undoubtedly, the best goalkeeper in Scotland right now. Undoubtedly, one of the best performing goalkeepers in the UK as well. Like personally, like I would say as well.
Yeah.
You threw this sort of question at me, and then I turned it into like an even bigger question. So obviously, we've said in the past of the podcast, like, you know, we've had some literally bomb scare goalkeepers, and this is the first time in a long time where I've never had to feel anxious or scared of who we've got in between the sticks. Now, to kind of delve into it just a wee bit more, just to play about with it. Obviously, you look back, you know, you go to, like, you know, keepers like Annie Niemi, Rousset, Henry Smith, etc. Is Craig Gordon the best goalkeeper in Hearts history ever? Because you say that now because in his 2 spells at Hearts, he's done ridiculously well, you know, especially that going back to 2006, like, you know, during, like, you know, the Romanov days. And then he came back and he's been literally performing as he was since he left us. But in a serious context, is he the best goalkeeper Hearts have ever had in their entire history?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Next question.
Discussion done.
No,
let's move on.
In seriousness, I think for me, Gordon is, and my argument is, he's the best goalkeeper that I've seen in my lifetime.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly.
Hearts. And that a lot of people, obviously, of different ages, will say different things.
Of course, yeah.
Because obviously they've grown up with different players. But the way that I judge Craig Gordon and the way that I say that he is the best goalkeeper we've ever had is that you can ask, and I have asked, and I have had the conversations with different generations of Hearts supporters, and they've all said Gordon is the best. And I think as well, like going back to the first time he was at Hearts, like he left, I think it gets kind of forgotten about because modern football, the way it is now, and the ridiculous money that gets thrown about, people forget Craig Gordon was sold for a British record fee for a British goalkeeper, £9 million.
Like, at that time, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and at that time, that's a lot of money for a British goalkeeper. Now, 100%. Now that's nothing. But, you know, end of the day, back in that time, and Gordon was a young goalkeeper at that point as well.
Yeah.
Plenty of years ahead of him. And he left us, went to Sunderland, £9 million. I think, and this is all hindsight and all, you know, ifs, buts, and maybes, but if he didn't have the injuries that he had at Sunderland, he was getting linked with like Man United as well. There was headlines linking him with them, and he could have went on and played for one of them.
Oh,
and
100%.
You know, you'd be looking at a guy who I think he got his 66th cap for Scotland during the international break.
That puts him in the top 10 now.
He would easily be probably 80, if not 90 odd caps in if he didn't have the injuries that he's had. Even he might have even made the 100 club by now. Because,
possibly, yeah.
You know, you look at like his time at Sunderland, he started well and then he got injured. I think it was a broken arm or something like that. And that obviously kind of put an end to his time at Sunderland. Then he's gone to Celtic, started well with Celtic, played a lot of games, then got injured, and then had to do his coaching badges because he didn't know what he was going to do next. And then Celtic sat him on the bench, and then he left for nothing and came back to us. But
great bit of business, huh?
Yeah. But it's, and this is the thing, like we forget as well, he's 39 years old. But like that, I mean, we haven't even spoken about it, but that double save
defies gravity, as I said at the start. Defies gravity.
It's nuts. It's absolute nuts that a 39-year-old can do that. Like, and I had this conversation with somebody earlier on today, actually, and I was talking about it. I says, Craig Gordon, the thing that impresses me the most about him, and another reason why I think he's the best goalkeeper we've ever had, he doesn't look like he's slowing down.
No, like that's the point.
If the thing is, the first save that he makes and he tips it onto the post and it goes back to Callaghan.
Yeah.
If Callaghan taps that into the other side of the goal and it's a goal, I'm going,
okay,
enough.
Fair enough,
Gordon did something. He couldn't do any more than he did. But the way he just gets up and he's over the other side of the goal before the ball's even got there.
I know.
It's just, like you say, it defies gravity. But
like literally, like even when I was hearing of, was it Laurie, like as well, I've never heard Laurie speechless before. Like, you know, while trying to commentate on a game, I'm like maybe just thinking, right, like is that, or was it doctor that? Like is it mute or like literally? It's like much like everybody in the stadium, like you can't even explain it. You literally can't even explain it. You know what I mean?
No, the fans celebrated it like it was a goal.
Fucking right. I did. I know.
I know. It was just mad. But like I say, this is the thing, and this is why it strengthens it for me that he's the best goalkeeper we've ever had. Because I look at him and I think you shouldn't be able to make that save. Like that's ridiculous.
No,
and
but
again, that's kind of one of the reasons why I rate him as the best goalkeeper in the country. Because I look at him and I go, as good as Allan McGregor is, because I'd say Allan McGregor is probably the second best goalkeeper in the country.
Yeah.
As good as he is, I don't see him making that save. At least both saves. He might have made one of them, but I don't think he gets up quickly enough to make the second save.
Possibly not, no.
And I just think, like I said, like Craig Gordon, a lot of people look at the sort of time he's been with us since he's come back, and he's just getting better and better. And it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I think, I mean, he's 39. I think did he turn 39 this year, or maybe it's next year? Maybe he's 40 this year. I think he might be 39 this year and turning 40 next year. Because I think Allan McGregor's a year older.
I think Allan McGregor's 41, I think.
I could be wrong on that.
But anyway, but still.
Craig Gordon is phenomenal for a man of his age to be doing what he's doing, not looking like he's going to slow down anytime soon. And because I think we've kind of benefited from the fact that he had the injuries that he had because he missed so much football.
Well, that's the thing, Alan, because like you said, if he didn't have the injuries that he had, you know, and the trajectory that he would have almost certainly had, would he be at Hearts now? Probably not.
No, he'd probably be retired by now with at least 100 Scotland caps. That's my view. But obviously we've benefited from that. We have him in goal for us, and I'm absolutely delighted about that.
You and me both, and we've just totally ignored the second half as well. But again, that shows how entertaining that second half was. So, but again, like we said at the start, like in hindsight, a point probably fair enough. I think, in all fairness, County were probably unlucky not to get all 3 points. Obviously, like I know that we had a few chances, like, you know, during the second half as well. one of the more notable ones when Gianelli came on and they had the double shot as well. You could argue that his second chance possibly should have been put away, but I could see you shaking your head saying, no, it should have 100% been put away, yeah?
Yep. It
seems your love for this man looks like he's dying every single week, mate.
Listen, I think Gianelli is a very talented player when he's in the mood to be
a
talented player.
Is there a player in there, Alan? Is there a player in there?
There is. No, I get so frustrated about him because we've seen him doing good things, and then he came off the bench and Ben Woodburn came on as well and did absolutely nothing. The two of them did absolutely nothing. And that's what frustrates me. And they said it again in commentary. I'm paraphrasing. They said, we've got 2 Edinburgh Derbies coming up. You're on the bench. You're getting a chance to come on the game before we play Hibs in the league.
Yeah.
Get on, make an impact, and make Robbie pick you for the Edinburgh Derby. But neither one of them did anything. And you go, it's so, and look, we've been back and forward on Ben Woodburn for a long time. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about him anymore, but the chance that Gino had should have been a goal. It should have been a goal. I can't believe he missed it. I genuinely can't believe he missed it. But it's frustrating because we've seen him score goals like that.
I know.
That's what annoys me. And he's capable of scoring that. But he just doesn't. I don't know whether he was rusty. I don't know whether he just isn't fully up to speed or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it was so annoying because he scores that, we win the game.
Look, Alan,
we wouldn't have deserved to win it anyway.
No, true, but when we get to the end of the season, the podcast, you can have a long rant on him then, because as I'm now, go on. Do
you know what it is? I predicted him to be our player of the year, so that's why.
Fucking hell. Long shot on that, but
bear in mind, we did our predictions episode before we'd signed the likes of Devlin and Benny, so that I'm covered on that front.
I mean, to be fair, if my memory serves me right, I said that we would score 35 plus goals, which I think I'm probably past by now. But I mean, to be fair, I did say that Gary Mackay and Gino would be part of my 3 top goal scorers as well. But that's a crock of shit. So.
Almost as bad as our league predictions, mate.
Don't even get onto that because that's a whole other podcast in itself, man. There was nothing much left to talk about the county game, so ended in a point each up in Dingwall, which, as mentioned at the start, takes us to 14 points in front with just a game to go before the split. Obviously, is the Edinburgh Derby, as Alan just mentioned not too long ago. So, of course, there's been things this is like sort of flying about, and with rumours as well that both Stuart and Devlin could potentially be back for the Derby. But before I kind of start on the actual game itself, just to put to you, Alan, and you might agree with me, if both Stuart and Devlin are available for the weekend, I kind of don't want them to feature. I'm kind of viewing this Edinburgh Derby as not particularly important. And I think kind of judging it priority-wise, I would much rather have them fully fit and they're ready to go for this semi-final. I think this is one of the few Edinburgh derbies that, not that I'm not kind of arsed about it, but like I'm kind of like, okay, like it's Hibs, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the main event's the semi-final, really, let's be honest. But I think Robbie's pretty much ruled them both out for the league game.
Right.
If the last thing that I read, if I'm remembering it rightly. So I don't expect to see either one of them play, which is a blow. But like you say, I'd rather they had an outside chance of being fit for the semi-final to play some part if they can, rather than rush them back for a league game that, like you say, is not the most important Edinburgh Derby that we'll have played for a long time. I and obviously, I mean, we'll go on to it, but I think it's one of those. I was talking to a Hibs supporting friend of mine earlier on today, and you know me, I'm confident when we play Hibs in a derby. I'm always confident when we play Hibs in a derby, but I think this one is one of those games where we don't have really anything in terms of the league to play for. You know, I said it earlier, we've pretty much wrapped up third. It would be good to have it mathematically done, but Hibs have extra motivation in the sense that if they don't win, they're bottom six, pretty much, assuming other results go against them. So that maybe plays into their hands a little bit more, that they've got something to actually play for.
Very true, Alan. But sorry, just to interrupt you, like as well, like in that very same sense as well, that could potentially be their downfall as well, because as the squad will most likely know this, where Hibs are probably going to be a bit more up for it, we can be a bit more sort of relaxed in the sense that we know we don't have to win, and because Hibs will be trying their utmost, because I know, like you just said, that they won't want to end up in the bottom six, even though it would be fucking hilarious. But I think that could also play into our hands as well, because all we need to do is just play how we've been playing, especially when we're at home. And I think that's going to add more pressure to how Hibs play on the day as well, because obviously, like, I kind of have a bit of anxiety when we go to East Road. Still like sort of confident, but like, you know what I mean, like with the environment that it is, like, you know what I mean, and I'm sure that some Hibs fans will feel the same when they that come to a Tiny as well. So I think in that sense, I don't think we necessarily have to play extra hard. It's just like, you know, we just play how we've been like at home throughout the season.
Yeah, I think so. And like I say, I'm still fairly confident because you have to be, but it's just one of those, and we all know that the main event is the semi-final, which is the week after. We know that. So there's a part of me that thinks, will the players from both teams be given it 100%? Because you go in for a tackle wrong, or you put your foot in the wrong place, you could be injured and you could miss that game.
Precisely, yeah.
So it's going to be a really interesting one, to be honest. It'll be really, really interesting to see which way it goes. Obviously, I hope we win, and I believe that we can. But my confidence takes a little bit of a dampener because we've still not beaten them this season. So
yes,
it would be nice. Don't get me wrong; it would be fantastic to beat them last game before the split, confirm third place for us, and send them into the bottom six. That would be fantastic.
Wonderful.
But if someone, and I'll ask you, if someone said to me, you lose the league game, but you win the semi-final,
I would snap your hand off, yeah. I would snap your hand off, like, because it doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter.
What it does is, obviously, whoever wins it, if there's a winner, it gives them a bit of confidence going into the semi-final.
Of course,
so there's always that, you know, but obviously I'd much rather we win the semi-final. I'd like us to win both, but, you know, if I have to pick
who knows,
give us a cup final.
Absolutely.
But we'll see. I'm predicting, and I'll just move straight on to that.
Do it.
I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be a 1-1. I think it'll be a scrappy afternoon down at Tynecastle, similar to what we saw at the start of the season when you and I were there. I think it'll be a scrappy 1-1. I'm not going to give you a goal scorer because
that's all good.
I don't know, but 1-1 draw. 1-1 draw for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to go down the same route as you, and I'm going to go for the same score line as it's been for the last two outings we've met them. But I'm only saying this so that I hope I jinx it, so that at least somebody will fucking score. So, and genuinely, honestly, I don't care if it's either us or Hibs. I just want a goal in the Edinburgh Derby, because literally the one time that I went back to Tynecastle with yourself, still not seen a goal in Tynecastle for like 10 odd years, like literally. And then when we go to watch it at the 1874 bar, still don't see a fucking goal. So I want to jinx this massively. So I am 110% confident that it is going to be a 0-0 draw. That is my prediction for you there, Alan. So
yeah, Fair enough.
And yet we still sit fucking level fucking points on this prediction. Like this, it's going to be a tense 5 weeks, mate, for you and myself as well. As soon as we go in to the split legs.
Oh, mate, I think at this point we should both just do the forfeits.
Yeah, why not?
And both do them.
Why not? Why not?
Because it's going that way. If it's gonna, we've not discussed what we're gonna do if it's a draw.
Oh, I've got something in my head, mate. But again, we'll probably get that cancelled. Like if I mention it, i.e., actually do it. But again, all in good time, mate. But in a very short time. So in that sense, I think it's kind of came to the end of the podcast. Just to recap, Allan has went for a 1-1 result in the Edinburgh Derby this weekend, and I went for a 0-0 draw for the Derby. And if you guys would like to share all your score predictions, we would love to hear it in the comments or via our Twitter page as well. We'd love to hear all your responses and what you think the result will be for the potentially last Edinburgh Derby of the season. So yeah, that kind of brings us to the end of the Since I Was Young podcast. So for all of you that are watching, thank you very much for watching. It's always greatly appreciated as well. And just to recap, if you are not yet subscribed to the Since I Was Young podcast via YouTube, please think about subscribing, smash that like button as always. And if you want to get in contact through our socials as well, they're on screen and will be in the description, all at SIWY Pod, as is our email on screen and in the description, as well as mine's and Allan's Twitter links that are also in the description if you want to throw some dog abuse our way. So from myself and Allan, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one for our Edinburgh Derby review. You all take care. Bye for now.